Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of The State of the World, the state of my world. And today we're going to talk about cryptocurrencies again. I'm going to start with a disclaimer that nothing I talk about today should be taken as financial advice. If you're doing research, do as much research as possible on the market, on the cryptocurrencies, and just this is essentially the vlog where I empty things out of my brain and just put them out there in the world. And I'm not an investment advisor, and I'm also not sponsored by anyone, let alone anyone I'm going to talk about today. So I want to start about my crypto experience and my crypto journey, because I want to be real about this and just have people understand where I'm coming from, and then we can talk about some exciting news. About 18 months ago, I think it was late in 2017, Bitcoin was in the news, and everyone was talking about it, and it was on another surge, and the price was going up, and like everyone else at that point, I'd seen it come and go in the news. I'd heard about it, I'd seen interesting news articles, and didn't really think there was much to it. I just assumed that at some point central banks and the governments were just going to crack down on it, and it would kind of fizzle out, and they'd find some way to regulate it out of maybe not existence, but out of value. And every now and then it kept coming back in the news, and every now and then it was worth more and more. And we've all heard the stories about the pizzas and people at that point, the news stories about people only accepting house bids in Bitcoin and buying Lamborghinis and all of this kind of stuff. And it's intriguing. It was exciting. And then I just decided, we'd had a positive upturn and with my work at that point. And we were in a period where I think for the first time, my wife and I, we weren't really living month to month anymore. And we just had a little bit of money over every month, and we wanted to do something with it. And in the UK at that time, and still, if you put in a savings account, there's really not a lot of interest out there, and we weren't actively looking, but we were kind of conscious of that. What could we do, and how could we make our money work for us? And then you see these exciting stories on the news, and it doesn't take a lot to get the brain going. And it didn't take much research to figure out, hey, you can go in on crypto on a pretty small amount. You can have a gamble, like I likened it to going to the betting shop and placing a bet. So you can put your money in, and the potential upturns are fantastic. I showed in a previous video on Monday in some of the percentage rises from 2017, and that's basically what we did before. Well, I did. I thought I pulled the trigger on it, honestly, so I took some small amounts of money. I put it on an exchange. I brought some Bitcoin. I think it was around $11,000 at this point. And crossed my fingers. I started talking to my friends and family about it, and they got excited. And before I knew it, my brother-in-law and another friend, they put a few £100 on an exchange, and we all tried a bit of Bitcoin, and we got excited, and we started watching YouTube videos and reading the news and texting each other and talking to each other about it. And the more and more we did, the more and more it seemed like a really good investment. Very nervous. Still had that feeling that things can go to zero, and that's always one to remember. But over the next few weeks, I was researching the crypto market more and more, and that's when I started to become aware of what they call the altcoins. And I presume if you're listening to this, you're probably not listening to this if you know all about cryptocurrencies and the market and everything else. And you're probably more likely coming to me in my space, if you by accident at this point in the channel's history. But
you're probably doing your research. So I want to share my experience, but so I started researching, and I started, we started to hear about Ethereum and XRP and Litecoin and a few others, and I mean, there's more of them are more available now than they were in 2017. At one point, it was a lot of places only did Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, but the particular place I was had a few others, and XRP was one of them. Anyway, so I started to, I put a little bit more money into the exchange. I started buying some of the other coins, and within a few weeks, it was going well. I was up, I think, in the region of about 30% in a few weeks, and I was comparing it back to a savings account or other investments, and I was very happy. So I took the money, I sold, took the profit, and I reinvested, and I had a larger pot to work with, and I did this on and off for a few weeks until I had whatever I had in there. And then so for all the research I'd done, and the things I was figuring out, and I was getting excited about how the different coins and the different tokens did different things, and they had their own use cases, and they had their own purpose, and it was exciting because it really opened up this world of potential, what these assets can do. But what my research, it came into my research, what I hadn't fully appreciated was that the downturn and how that works. So the market started going down, and I held in there, and I'd brought it higher prices at this point because I kept taking it out and putting it back in, and it's been a hell of a bear market, and it's lasted a long time. It's the prices generally went down for about a year, and until early part of this year they've started to come back up, but they're nowhere near where they were, and I'm still my average prices on Bitcoin I'm still a little bit below where I got caught there, and but the asset I really went in on, and the one that through all my research I felt was the one with the most potential, and I'll just pause because I think if you're early in research, what you might be thinking, which is what I was thinking, I think what other people think is, when you get into Bitcoin, you go, okay, what's the next Bitcoin? What's the next one that's going to have these crazy percentage rises? Where do I go? And at that point in time, for me, in my research, XRP looked like a really good bet. So I put proportionally more of my investment into XRP, and I really did get caught with it. At least one line of my investment was right up there at the nearly at the all-time high. It's sort of $3 something, and then the price was coming down, and it was in the $2 range. And I was telling, there's a lot of people talking online, and everyone was, some people were saying get out. Some people were saying that if you're not prepared to hold for 2 or 3 years, get out now, because get your money out now before it goes down further. And it just, I don't know, to me, and I'm being honest here, it didn't seem like it was going to go down back to as much as it has, and I was wrong, and I have to put out I was wrong. So anyway, so it's been horrible, and when it got below $1 again about a year ago, it really felt red-faced and embarrassed, and put this I followed the golden rule. I didn't put more in than I was prepared to lose, and that's really crucial to repeat. However, when it went back below $1, it was not good. So for a period about a year ago, really I was kind of thinking, look, do I pull out? Do I not pull out? And all I did was I kept researching, I kept watching YouTube, I kept looking at internet, I got on Twitter, I followed all the right people or lots of people, and the thing is that I've become convinced, even more convinced, that there is something to this, to cryptocurrencies. I wouldn't be on here talking about it and admitting that I'm down on it if I still didn't think there was something to it. I hope by sharing this experience, if you're hearing it, may only maybe like if you're new to cryptocurrency, maybe you'll learn a lesson. Maybe you won't follow make the same mistakes. But so I'm down in the dumps. The portfolio is not looking good, but I keep watching more and more, and I keep waiting for some Bitcoin good news, and there wasn't really any in the mainstream. But the XRP community were all there. They're so, really enthusiastic, and there's just I'm not alone. There are so many people out there that think XRP is great, and they perhaps rode the wave better than I did. They perhaps saw it coming. They've probably been in it a bit longer. My intention was, as they saying that might come back, was to buy the dip. I just thought it was just going to dip a little bit and come back up, and it really didn't. So I've learned my lesson. Crypto does tend to go in cycles, and prices can go down 90% or more from the last high, and you should again always be prepared for it to go to zero. Anyway, I'm in for the long haul, and there's been so many people in the XRP community that I follow on to. I don't interact with them. They don't know me. I don't know any of them personally, but there's a lot of good people out there. If you just have to search XRP on Twitter or on YouTube, and they've been making the case. I'm not new to the. I'm not going to give anything new away here, but they've been making the case. They've done a great job. Their enthusiasm really helps to keep me want to be a part of this, and the use cases are there. Go look on Ripple's website, the company Ripple, the company, and look at their product. Go and look at their journey, where they've gone and where they want to go. And I'm going to talk about some of that today. So I'm in for the long haul, and and it might sound like a down. I just want to give you my journey because I am excited, and could have egg on my face in a few weeks or a few months. But I for me, that investor that's I've hit rock bottom, and I've stuck with it. I'm a hodler. I've held my tokens. I've added to my tokens. Not a lot in this. I really feel like I've put as much in as I want to put in, but I've tried to bring my average price down, and I've tried to put a sensible amount of money in, but I really don't want to put too much more in until there's some returns. But I'm excited, and that's where I want to come from. I hit rock bottom. I've stuck in there. I've done my research. You do your research too. Don't I would say look at XRP, but look at some of the others. I'm not gonna run any of them down, or not here at least. Just keep doing your research. But I'm excited now because I talked about it on my Monday video. I said then, I think I said this is going to be a big week in crypto. This is possibly going to be a week that it hits the history books. We're in those days where people will look back at this time, and you'll remember when, because it's we're in one of those milestone weeks. But I was wrong about what the event was, and I said that hey, Facebook coin's coming. That we were expecting the white paper on Tuesday. We got the white paper. I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a while. But then out of nowhere, Monday night, for me, didn't see it coming. And the news broke that, I'll put it up on screen. The news broke from Ripple that they've entered into a strategic partnership with MoneyGram. And if you know anything about XRP, or you know a little bit about XRP, this is their area. This is where they work. This is what the XRP token was designed to do. It's designed to do cross-border payments. It's designed to move large sums of money from one institution to another. Anyway, so Ripple have pulled the trigger, and they've become a strategic partner with MoneyGram. And if you go into the announcement, I won't click into it here. They've bought an equity stake somewhere between 8 and 10%, equivalent to about $30 million. They've got another 20 million to go in. But I'm really excited because this is big. This is big to me as an XRP investor in the coin, not the company. So I'm an XRP investor, not Ripple stock. I'm in the token, because this is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been talking about. This is the precipice of mass adoption of the XRP coin in the realm it was intended to be used. So MoneyGram are a global company that most, you know this, you know, they move money around the world, and you go to MoneyGram, you say, hey, send this money over here. And the way that market traditionally works for them and for the big banks is you have to have multiple accounts everywhere around the world. So if you might move say $100 million from America to the UK in any given day, you've got to have an account there that can settle that up at the end of the night. You might not do that, but you need to have the liquidity there to settle the account, to make the payment, to help, you know, facilitate through the partners. So we've got these payment providers and and some of the big banks, and they've got all these accounts all around the world that are primarily set. They're funded with money, so that they can fulfill these transfer requests, and they charge a fee, and they're all different, I'm sure, and obviously there's a market there. Well, Ripple come along, and they come up with an ex-current product, which was essentially what they call Swift 2.0, and then they came up with an additional product called XRapid. And XRapid is the product that uses XRP in its settlements. And the idea behind it, and take it from Ripple rather than me, I'll give you the gist of it, is that when you put your, say, $50 or £50 over the counter at, say, MoneyGram now, the system reaches out to an exchange and buys, say, £50 worth of XRP. It then instantly sends that value of XRP to the country it's going to, and it's reconverted to the local currency, and then it's placed into the account or to the hands of whoever, and it does it in seconds, and no cost, basically no cost. There's what's called a burn rate whenever Ripple is used, XRP is used, and it's the equivalent of, I don't know how many, it's one drop, and I forget if it's like 8 or 10 decimal places of so it's 0.00001 XRP. So it's a fraction of a penny is the cost. And so what a brilliant product, right? And, you know, go back to my journey in your research, in your crypto coins and your crypto tokens, you hear about this, you go, wow, that's fantastic. That's all it costs to do a crypto transaction. That's brilliant, because, you know, I don't know how much Bitcoin is, but, you know, you hear all these stories like $30 transaction fee to buy a coffee, for example. You know, not trying to do a scare story, you know, it's the sort of thing you hear about. So you say, hey, great. So it transacts in a second, and it costs basically nothing. This is brilliant. So Ripple, the company, have been out there. This is why, you know, why people, I think, are enthusiastic, because Ripple has become this big company, and they've gone out there, and you know, they've done all the right things. They've worked, and, you know, they've worked with all the right people. I'll come on to that actually. So Ripple's worked with all these many remittance companies and many banks, and they've been in there and they've been talking, and there's been drip announcements along the way. And I think what we've all been waiting for is, okay, turn the damn thing on, turn XRapid on. Let's see the volume, right? And with XRP, what we really want to see is it being used. And the more it's being used, and the more it needs to reach out to the exchanges, the more demand there is, you know, the lower the potential supply, and then the price should go up. So this is why I'm excited, because I want to get to this. So Ripple have basically brought into MoneyGram. It seems like they're calling the shots now. They've actually said to MoneyGram, turn the damn thing on. They're going to get to XRapid as soon as possible. Now, this is just one area, perhaps the primary area of XRP's use case. But if I go to Wikipedia, and I'll only go there briefly, because you know, they're saying, and I'll take their word just for this conversation, let's take their word from it. In 2018, overall global remittance grew to 689 billion, and it's expected to grow to 715 billion this year. Okay, so those numbers seem low to me, to be honest. I thought it would be higher than that, but I'm just gonna, for the purposes of illustration, I'm going to take those numbers as gospel. I've seen somewhere somebody estimated MoneyGram have about 5% of the global remittance market. Again, for illustrative purposes only, I'm going to take 5%. If 5% of 680 or 700, say 700 billion, is about 35 billion US dollars. Okay, that amount of money is going to start to circulate. I think that's annual, but is about to start circulating around the world in XRP. There's only 18 billion in US dollar market cap today from the circulating supply of XRP. So I'm excited because Ripple have effectively just brought MoneyGram into the game, and where MoneyGram go, all these other banks are going to have to follow, and all the other remittance providers are going to have to follow, or they're going to have to come up with something better, or at least as good. And for my money, right now, Ripple are the only game in town. They're the only guys doing it. Swift are probably working on something. We saw that some of the other payment providers are now tied up with Libra, and they may come up with something down the line. But this is the only game in town now. So this mass adoption this is why I say we're on the precipice now of. I hope. I'm not saying we are. Well, I am saying we are, but I hope we are now on that precipice where we start to see those flows happening. We start to see those the system reaching out to the exchanges, and the demand and the usage and utility going up and up and up. And with that, I hope to see the XRP price going up. So, not financial advice. I'm just talking into a microphone and putting that on YouTube. I am not a financial advisor, but if I could go back in time and take my money out and put it back in, I'd be putting it back in right now. Or maybe a couple of weeks ago it was in the 30 cents range. But so I'm excited now that I've laid it on the table. I've got money in there. If it doesn't come off, that's on me. If it does, boy, am I going to be making more videos, and it's exciting. It's like maybe thinking not quite to the same. It's almost like saying, okay, I've brought a scratch card, and I'm pretty good chance of knowing I'm going to win here. And you still don't, right? But not always. But so I'm excited. I think this is really big news. Now, I don't think the price is going to go up on the news. It certainly hasn't in the last day or two. I think it's going to start to go up as you see more and more transactions going through XRP and around the world. And what I was now, I think I'm going to say in hindsight, I don't think I really figured this out before this week. The Ripple, the frustrating thing is Ripple, we know they've been out there for years. We know they've been going talking to the remittance companies. We've seen that they've announced they're doing trials, and it hasn't moved the price very much at all. And for a lot of it, actually, it's been going down. And kind of maybe this is in my head. Kind of clock today. They probably went to all these companies and these banks and said, hey, just like I've said, use the tool. It costs nothing. It's done instantly, and it's basically free. And they're out there telling the world they can do this for free, and that and then they're saying they're tied into these banks, and these remittance companies probably say, "Hang on a minute, I quite like charging $15 or $20 or $50 to do this. Maybe I just kick my heels for a while, and maybe I don't go quite as quick on this, and I think Ripple maybe they've turned around and said, hey, we've got to get this moving now, and kind of and force the issue, and they might have seen I don't know, speculation, they might have seen an opportunity with MoneyGram to get in there and say, hey, here's the equity, we're in, get it moving, and I think it's a rolling stone, and things could really launch from here. Again, all speculation. That's my speculation, but I'm excited. Egg on my face if not. If 4, 5, 6 months from now, this has had no effect, then my faith may be irreversibly shaken with XRP. But this is what I've been waiting. I've been waiting for a genuinely big event for over a year. Not trials, not this may be or that may be, and whatever else. I've really wanted to see something tangible, and I think this is tangible. And so that's why I'm excited. So it wasn't just one big announcement this week, it was two. So this was the one we were expecting, and I talked about on Monday. So yes, the white paper was published, and I'm excited about this too. Now some people are saying, hey, hang on a minute, you need to be worried because I'm in on Bitcoin as well, but they're saying that Facebook coin is coming for Bitcoin, and some people are saying, hey, Facebook coin or Libra is hey, this is going to replace XRP, right? So I'll come to that in a minute. I'll come to those points in a minute. I will address this, but I'm excited because of basically what Forbes Crypto is saying here. Even the largest of cryptocurrency companies have maybe not as much as 40 million users. Facebook has 2.7 billion users. I'll take their number again illustratively. The cumulative market cap of all cryptocurrencies is 290 billion. That's the equivalent of, you take all of the coins and times it by the value for everything, it comes to 290, and that's not I think there's a lot of stuff missing from that from certain countries. And anyway, but we'll take 290 billion. Facebook's market cap is almost twice that. It's 539 billion, right? So I'm more excited, about the 2.7 billion users. If we go to the or a write up on this is ccn.com. I don't think I've got the URL in the view here, but ccn.com. So Facebook's Libra coin is designed to be as stable as possible by pegging its value to a basket of global currencies, and then there's some things here about that. But if they put 2.7 billion wallets out there, and every Facebook account suddenly has a crypto wallet, that's big, right? That's mass adoption. That's bringing cryptocurrency to the general public, and they're doing it in a very straightforward, easy to understand way, I'm sure, because there's a lot about crypto that can get a bit confusing and a bit worrying and all the rest of it. But so presumably they're going to have the controls there, and they're going to make it very user friendly. Okay, so you're just going to go into your Facebook account. Now, if 2.7 billion accounts, if every account just put $1 in, and they're going to put more, some more, but that's 2.7 billion users to the market. And then you look at all the Libra partners and all the, and the potential is, I hardly fathom how this is going to all shake out within within that Libra community. It's mass adoption. Now, it's here on screen. So the Libra coin is designed to be a stable coin. So it's designed to be used, but it's not designed for investments. And what do you think is going to happen when 2.7 billion people, or a large proportion of those, I'm presuming many people are still kind of fairly new to cryptocurrencies, and they've got Libra coin, and they can presumably then go to the exchanges and buy Bitcoin or XRP, and and at that point it's a pretty straightforward route to say, hey, my Facebook coin is stable. I've put a dollar's worth in, I'm getting a dollar's worth out, and it might not be quite as stable as that, but it relatively stable. And then they've got access to exchange quickly to XRP or Bitcoin, and then suddenly they can have the gamble. They can go through the journey that I went through, and many of you have gone through or will go through. And it's just that it's making it easy for people to be in crypto, to understand it, to see it, to feel it, to use it. And the more I think people, it goes without saying, right? The more I think people use it and adopt to it and get comfortable with it, the more there's going to come into the crypto market space. Now, the crypto market is every coin at the moment. With roundabouts, we're saying the market cap is 290 billion. Okay, so what happens when you start bringing in all those billions of users, and it's not $1 each. It's, it will be in, maybe the equivalent in, some poor regions of the world. What happens when people start bringing in hundreds and thousands of dollars, and then the crypto space grows, and then there's mass adoption, and people will eventually find Bitcoin, they will find XRP, and they will find the other cryptocurrencies, and they will start to say, hey, well, fine, I'm going to carry on using Facebook coin over here, and I'm gonna play my casino game or my farming game, or I'm gonna watch this video, and I'm gonna make my micropayments, or I'm gonna book my Uber, and that's all fine. But hey, what about a little flutter on the non-pegged crypto market exchange? It's inevitable. I think, I'm not obviously not everyone, but it's going to be more and more money, and this is just a gateway to all these people to bring them into the market. And this is everyday people we're talking about here. Later this year, Wall Street and the big institutions are going to get into access to crypto markets. I think it's called Backed, and that's due to be launched. So you're going to get this swell of people in cryptocurrencies coming from all around the world and all walks of life at the same roughly era or period as you're getting the institutional money come in. A year from now, the crypto market total market cap is 290 billion is going to be like change. If the potential for that money to come in with the institutional money as well, I don't think they're just going to go, okay, let's put 50% of our portfolios in digital assets. Of course they're not. What if they generally start to sort of move in 1 or 2%, and they take the same view I did, that it's a bit of a gamble, don't put in more than you can afford to lose. But you look at some of these crazy numbers. Look at where, what am I getting on bonds? What am I getting on current account? What am I getting on regular currency exchanges? Well, maybe 1 or 2%, and 1, 2 or 2% of all institutional money starts coming in. That again, it's got to be, I can't put a number on it right now, but it just, the potential is phenomenal, and people were down on crypto. They were worried about, is it safe, and can it crash, and will it go to zero, and what if I lose my keys, and all the rest of it. Well, Wall Street have been looking at it for a long time now. I'm sure all the other financial markets have. They're coming with their money, and they're not gonna, like I said, I'm not expecting to come in and just go all in, but you only need a fraction of a percent, or a percent, or a small percentage of some of those funds and some of his money moving into Bitcoin. And then, when people get to Bitcoin, then they find the others. They find the XRPs, they find the Litecoins, they find the Ethereums. And so the whole market, I think, is gonna grow from here. This is a point in time in the existence of digital assets where, like I said, we're going to come back and we're going to look at this week, or in this period of time, in this spring 2019. This is where I think big things were going to come from, so I'm with XRP on, and no, so let me come back to here, because there was something on this I wanted to actually just highlight. So I said, okay, so people might say, I'm just going to find the right thing here. Facebook coin is coming for Bitcoin. Some people saying Facebook coin, XRP should be worried. Sorry, I just want to. There we go. It's up here. So this was within the release again, ccn.com. Facebook's cryptocurrency expected to work through the Messenger app, WhatsApp, and it's designed with 3 main use cases in mind: peer-to-peer payments between friends, remittance payments across borders to family members, and make payments to retail merchants. So they have it. So it's not one or the other; it's both. Okay, they're being very broad about how they want this to work. The remittance payments across borders, we've just talked about that. That's XRP territory. Okay. And we'll come to that in a second. But the retail payments, that was, I think, one of the main use cases of Bitcoin was, you'd use it to buy coffee and in the shops and the rest of it, and they're not there yet with that. But this there's the challenge. Now that's for Facebook and Bitcoin people to argue about. I'm going to take point number 2. Send remittance payments across borders to family members. So yeah, you can envision this idea that Facebook users are connected. I could load my my money up, and I move it to your account, and you're in another place in the world, and that works. That's great. So but here's the thing, right? So they're not gonna. That works, okay, but they're not gonna. Central banks aren't gonna go, okay, let's start moving our money through Facebook. Okay, they're just not going to. Okay. The MoneyGrams of the world, the Barclays, the HSBCs, and all the rest of it, they're not going to take your money over the counter and then use Facebook to move it around. It would be pointless, right? And they're not going to move their own money around. Some people are going to be able to cut out the middleman. That's great, but XRP, the Ripple company, they've been working with these banks. They've been working with the IMF. They've been doing it for years. They've been positioning themselves and working with all the key people to make sure they are the ones that are there to facilitate this transition to blockchain. This is investinblockchain.com, and everything I'm showing here, I'll put links in the description. So this is Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, talking at an IMF event. There is so many. You just go out there, do your own search. There are so many articles and pictures of Brad Garlinghouse at these big banking conferences, at the IMF, at the G20, and very often pictured with Christine Lagarde, and he's been working with them, and Ripple have been working with them. They've built the trust. They've gone around the world, and again, they haven't turned it on yet. This is something that's been hinted at. The fintech is going to get it into the central banks, and they're testing it. And there's plenty of articles out there with Middle Eastern and Asian banks that are central banks they're already in there, and rumors of maybe even the Bank of England, and that's take that as speculation. And they're laying the pathway. They're building the trust. Okay, these guys have an old, they have a legacy system that might be clunky by futurist standards and all the rest of it. They've got to ensure that it's safe and it's secure and it works and it does what it says it's going to do. Ripple have laid the groundwork for that. So where Facebook coin might be used for cross-border payments, they're not going to do it on an institutional level. Okay, they've not had those comments. They haven't laid that groundwork. So, yes, okay. So it might mean that I don't need to go to MoneyGram or wherever to do a couple of bucks, whatever. They're saying Libra will be free to use. That's probably on launch. Okay, so how many other things are free to use on launch, and then then there's a usage charge, or then you have to pay interest or whatever. So the vision is it'll be free, but who knows for how long? We already know that XRP can do it. These low, it works at those low rates, at that burn rate. So they'll be aware. They'll be looking at. But I'm not worried. What I'm trying to say is, look, where the real use of XRP comes in is in this world finance industry, and they've laid the groundwork. And I don't think Facebook coin gets to come along, or will just come along and say, hey, we can do this, and they'll just go, oh, okay, we'll look at you instead. Ripple's been out there for years doing the groundwork, talking to these people. Look, do your own research. Google Brad Garlinghouse and Christine Lagarde. There's so many articles, there's so many pictures. They've been out there together for a long, long time. And this is from the xrpdaily.com, and I just want to, here's another Christine Lagarde, and I just want to read from this. So it says, this is Christine Lagarde's words. So let me conclude, everyone here and many around the world recognise it is critical to continue the international dialogue on fintech. It is not as easy as it seems. Integrating different national approaches to crypto assets, non-bank fintech intermediaries, and the governance of data is crucial if we are to harness fintech's potential to promote greater financial inclusion and development. Yet at the same time, we have to find a way to preserve financial stability, integrity, protect consumers, and increase financial literacy. Here we can draw inspiration from the famous Japanese proverb, "Walk across the stone bridge only after you have tested its strength." We will cross the bridge together into fintech future, but we will only do so once we are confident that the bridge is safe and secure. So what I'm saying, people, is they've been testing the bridge. The stone bridge is Ripple. It's and the crossing of the bridge will be XRP. Ripple have done the groundwork, and the financial structures of the world, as they change and move to fintech, Ripple's the company's going to be there, and XRP is the token that this money is going to be flowing around the world on. So again, I'm going to bring it all back. So XRP investment and crypto investment hasn't to this point been the lottery win I'd dreamt it might be in those early days. The crypto community, and in particular the XRP community, have kept me on board with their optimism. A wonderful community. If you're new to it, follow as many people as possible, read as much as possible. But here's me saying I've been looking at this market for a year and a half, and this is my conclusion. These two announcements this week are probably the biggest I've seen, the most impactful that I've seen for the whole time, and they've come within a day of each other. And I think this is now the next stage. It's not going to necessarily shoot up today and tomorrow and by next week, but these events are critical in the evolution of this market. And you only have to use your own imagination to see how much money is going to come into the crypto space and what that's going to do to prices overall. Okay, so that's it from me today. I hope you're as excited as I am. I hope this has been useful. Thank you very much. If you've sat through that and you heard me ramble, please do consider giving me hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Leave me a comment if you feel like it. Keep doing your research. Golden rule: do not invest more in crypto than you're prepared to lose. Have a great day. Take care. I'll speak to you soon.